Started, Julie, and I know you're really, really anxious. So would you like to just introduce yourself to everybody? And don't forget to put the microphone right by your mouth, please. Otherwise, it sounds awful.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
So who are you?
I'm Julie.
Julie.
Bloor.
And where are you from?
Manchester, as you can
Manchester.
tell. As you can tell. Up north.
And where are you living at the moment?
In Burnham-on-Sea.
Okay.
So I relocated I've been here for nearly 4 years, but I relocated permanently over 2 years ago.
Yeah. And are you going back to Manchester, Julie?
Yeah, I am going back I'm hoping to go back to Manchester this year.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Do you miss Manchester?
Yeah, I do. It's my
do
home.
You?
Yeah.
What do you miss about it?
It's just what I've known. It's like that's everything. I spent most of my life wanting to get out of Manchester. Couldn't wait to grow up so I could leave Manchester. And being out of Manchester for the last 4 years has made me realise that I want to go back to Manchester. And I never thought I could go back because I came here to come to rehab at somewhere house, not very well. And I did try to go back to Manchester a few times in the last few years, but I ended up bouncing straight back because I wasn't ready. And what I realised was that me going back into Manchester, there was loads of stuff that I hadn't faced. I was still walking back into my traumas. So I had to come back and work through some of that stuff still. And I am still working through it today. It never goes away. I have to manage it.
Does it ever go away, ever?
No.
I don't think it does either. No.
I have to manage it on a daily basis. And I'm nervous about going back to Manchester and so I'm going to Manchester today for another week. So I've been doing like a transition stage for a while. I should have moved before Christmas, but it fell through. So hopefully this time it'll go through. But I am scared and nervous about doing it because this is all I've known for the last 4 years.
And what is it that sort of draws you back to Manchester? What do you really like about it? Is there a particular area or?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from North Manchester.
Okay.
Which wasn't, being mixed race, living in a very white working class area didn't go down too well. So being brought up by a white family because my dad's from Pakistan, I didn't know my dad. So I was brought up very English Western in a white area, working class area. So there was a lot of racism and a lot of bullying going on. So the first opportunity I had to get out of North Manchester, I left and moved south.
Okay.
Where it's more diverse. But as my son said, just because it's more diverse don't mean there's no racism and prejudice. But it's all over it's everywhere. But
yeah,
absolutely.
I think the thing is, I moved as well because I went through an identity crisis. I got told one day to go and look in the mirror and say you're not white, which I knew I wasn't. But my understanding was like I wanted to be like everybody else. I used to put bleach in the bath to try and make myself white, and because I just wanted to fit in and belong, and that's been the story of my life, really, wanting to fit in and belong. So I just felt like with having my son, he might get a better opportunity, better start in life if I lived in a more diverse area. Because I had to work on myself as well and deal with my issues. And I just felt like I was unaware of so many things to do with my identity. And I thought, with the education and stuff, and it was more diverse in the south than it was in the north. And I felt like you'd get more opportunities.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So even going from North Manchester to South Manchester was like probably moving from one country to another country.
Was it really?
Because it was completely different. And,
yeah.
And I think you said something a few weeks, Ange, about I'm like a fledgling, is it? I don't settle anywhere. I go here. And I realised the other day that, in fact, yesterday it was when we did a debrief in the office, because we did a group on, and it brought loads of stuff for me. And I thought, I never allow myself to stay long enough or get to know people, or I do the rejecting before I feel like I'm going to be rejected. And I was saying, even though I know all this stuff today, I still do it. I'm aware of it, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to change it.
But isn't that's the thing though about when you start on a journey of change, isn't it? You then start recognizing that you're doing it, and then the action then comes after the event, if you see what I'm saying. Because very often people think, well, I've gone into therapy and I've looked at this and I've done that and I know this about myself, but why am I still doing it? And very often there's that case where actually it takes time to make those changes. It takes time to not, and it took you X amount of years to get where you were before you started the changes, and it's going to take a long time. Very often we're in a hurry to get instant, and it doesn't work like that, I don't think. In my experience, it didn't work.
You're right. And I think for me as well, acceptance is massive. I did have, so I'm assuming that I'm in recovery now. People know that I'm in recovery, and that's why I came to Burnham-on-Sea for my addiction. I did have 16 years recovery at one time, and I worked through a lot of stuff, and I had a pretty all right life. I went to university, I became a social worker. I was doing good, and then I got ill, and I lost all that. I got medically retired from my job. I got addicted to the opiates, and that's what brought me to somewhere else. I forgot what I was going to say then because I went off.
We're talking about change.
Change, yeah.
How hard it is.
Yeah, it is hard.
But why did you? I know you got addicted. You'd been in recovery for 16 years, because I think that's what you were comparing, those 16 years of having recovery, and then to start that whole cycle of addiction again, isn't it? It's like, God, you think you've made enough changes, don't you, to have made that, to have prevented that from happening, but it's so easily done.
Yeah, because even though what I've learned today, even though I had 16 years recovery, in my early years of recovery, I spent a lot of time in AA, and that was my world for the first 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And then I started to get a life, and I felt like I didn't need to do any of that. And I think then the behaviour started to come back, and then I stopped doing the suggestive things. And I always said, well, it's not my fault I got ill. Do you know what I mean? That changed everything. But suppose if I was doing the suggestive things when I got ill, I might have managed it better. I might have dealt with it better.
I'm just going to relate to you there, because I think no matter what you do, I'm in recovery as well, and I don't think it matters to a certain degree how much preparation work you've done. It doesn't take away the fact that the draw of being an addict is so strong. And, I've had a difficult time the last year or so. And it's been my negative coping strategy, because that's how I see it. My negative coping strategy has been tapping me on the shoulder all the time. And I know that, and it would have been so easy not to carry on in recovery. That would have been it wouldn't have been, but but that's only because I've literally wrapped myself around secure people and said, look, I am struggling a bit. But I think it takes a lot of courage to do that when you've had a longevity of recovery time. 16 years is a long time to admit that actually I'm struggling here.
Yeah. And the thing is, I went into recovery for alcohol the first time. I've not had a drink for 23 years, and I thought drinking was my problem. Yeah. And I know today it isn't. It's anything. Anything's my problem that I can get addicted to.
Sugar in your coffee?
Is that the worst I can do?
Exactly. Isn't that the thing? It's coming to terms with the fact that actually, do you know what? Some things aren't that harmful in that sense that, it's all right to have as many sugars as you want in your blooming cup of coffee, and it's nobody else's business but your own, type thing.
And I think what I have to remember as well is them 16 years I used to beat myself up for losing. Well, I haven't lost them. I had them 16 years, and I've got that experience of them years of what. Do I give myself an hard time for relapsing, or do I pat myself on the back for coming back and getting nearly 4 years now? Yeah. And today I try and pat myself on the back for where I am today. And there's been a lot of changes in the last 4 years.
Absolutely. I will vouch for you there.
I feel like I'm going to get upset.
It's okay. You won't be the first person. What about, because obviously the draw at Manchester is also, you've got family there as well. So you've got your son there and stuff. So is that another big pull to get?
Yeah, I've got, my mum's in her 80s. I haven't always had a good relationship with my mum. But I think I've done enough work that now that I appreciate the relationship that I've got with her. So I'd like to think that I can be there to support her, and vice versa. She supported me when I've been in need as well, and she's not been there when I've been in need as well. But it's a balance, isn't it? My son, he's got his own life. He does his own thing. I just, I've got to pull to here as well to where I am in Burnham, and it's like I feel like I'm there, and it's pulling both ways. And I think if I don't go back to Manchester and give it a go, then I'll always have that wishing that I've not tried something that I need to do.
But is there, and I wonder how you feel about this as well, Mike, is that bit about there's a pressure that we have to be in one place instead of recognising that what the hell's wrong with having two homes, even if one isn't as nice as the other, or you don't have a great big grand house, or whatever the circumstances are. It doesn't matter. You can have two places that you call home.
I remember you saying to me a couple of years ago, why can't you have, when one of the times when I was trying to go back to Manchester, you said, why can't you have Burnham and Manchester? So I said, but I want Manchester and Burnham, that way round.
Yeah.
I want to be based in Manchester and then come over to Burnham when I can, really. And it might not work out, but I've got to give it a go.
There's nothing stopping it, though, is there?
And the thing is, I'm not tied. Like some people have got to stay to the place of the work because of they can't just go off because they'd have to find another job somewhere else to pay the rent and all that. Look, I'm not. I mean, I haven't got loads of money, but I can look after myself. I got medically retired, so I've got my pension. So it gives me that freedom to be able to do that. So it's not like I need to go back to Manchester and I've got to get myself a paid job.
Yeah, you got a lot of flexibility, haven't you?
Yeah.
You can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. And I think Angie's right. There's nothing wrong with living in sort of two places. Going back to the analogy of a starling, there's nothing wrong with, birds like to migrate, spend 6 months in Manchester, 6 months in Burnham or whatever.
But I also maybe I overthink it a bit too much, and maybe because I am getting a bit scared and nervous, and I'm thinking, is this me running away again? And because I've got rejection issues, abandonment issues, attachment issues, and I don't kind of attach. I want to be part of something. I want to belong. All I ever want is to belong with and be part of something. But I never put myself in that position. So it's like, say the team, for example, when they're all doing stuff and going out and they get invited and then I don't go, and then eventually people are going to stop inviting you. So I have this scenario where it's like I feel rejected, I feel abandoned, I don't get invited. Well, we do invite you, but you don't want to come. So is it me rejecting other people?
But that's quite a normal thing, though, isn't it? And I think I was reading something about friendship and kindness and how the two can go hand in hand, but also that level of assertiveness and the impact of having you people will continue to invite you. That hasn't stopped, but it's about, and you will continue to reject them until as such time as you feel ready to actually take part. But I think that's the world over. I don't think that's just Julie. I think that's the world over. And sometimes when you don't have courage, then it takes time for that courage to come up. But we laughed the other day. Can you remember we went out for breakfast and I said, could you imagine 4 years ago you sitting in Ollie's cafe having breakfast, even eating in front of people was just such a trauma for you? And it's like, it's such a, you've done that. That's a step that you wouldn't have done before. You've been out on social nights. You've been here for parties, and we forget what we have achieved. I think we all forget. It's like, our relationship, isn't it? I mean, it's developed massively. And I look at the things that I've achieved in my life and it's like, wow, we are brilliant achievers. All of us, all three of us in this room.
You just forget, don't you? You forget the small things. And that's the challenge. Julie might not know, my mum had a stroke about 4 years ago, and she's made tremendous progress from the day she had the stroke. But she forgets that she's made progress, and she forgets that those small changes, those small things are massive progress.
Yeah.
And actually, she was quite upset this week because her local doctor's surgery has a physio that goes in on a regular basis, and she got called in to go and see this physio. And I'm hearing this third person, so apologies if I got this wrong, but the physio basically said, you're at where you're at, don't go chasing rainbows and dreams, you know, basically almost give up because you're not going to get better. And my mum was clearly very upset by that, as I am, as I think a lot of people would be. And it's crazy how there are some people out there who they don't support you, and they sort of, they're almost, I think, jealous of what you've done, jealous of the achievements you've made. And I think a lot of times people forget that sometimes. And, you know, it's almost because they're not progressing somewhere in their life, it's almost like they'll take it out on somebody else. And I think people forget that.
But is that, you know, that comes back to that cognitive distortion stuff, isn't it? Where, you know, if that's how your thinking is, you think that person doesn't, you've been kind of trained, whatever, that actually you can't achieve above that. Then actually you'll then pass it on to everybody else. So I'm probably the other way, as Julie has rightly reminded me on more than one occasion. I'm one of those people that go, I don't have any limitation. And I do it with you as well, I know that. But it's like the limitations don't exist for me. I just think you do whatever you can do on the day. And that way you've actually got that. You can achieve.
We've achieved something, haven't you?
I know we've all got the level to achieve something, even if that is blinking your eye. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think it's recognising that. And I think sometimes, for example, people in the medical profession look at those limitations and are restricted by that. And
I think they are, and they err more on the negative side.
Yeah, and I relate to all that, and I've got experience of dealing with the medical model, I should say.
Yeah.
And they just see your illness rather than the person.
Yeah.
And I remember the consultant saying to me that my illness, how I was and how I managed it, will become my new normal, and you'll get used to living in that. And I said, "What?" As if like, well, this is it, like you said. It's like they've just give up on you, and they might have dealt with their physical side of things of what they thought they could do for me, but also that impacted on the mental.
Yeah.
So I had the mental issue, though the physical issues impacted on my mental health. That then led me to go on into a psyche ward, and nobody wanted to know because they was just all dealing with the medical side. They wasn't looking at my social environment, my social factors, or anything like that.
But that's that holistic approach, isn't it, that people forget about, and that's that bit about. And I see a guy, and it's not the same guy. I changed for similar reasons to what you're saying, but I remember walking into my first consultancy appointment with him, and he said, "You should be in a wheelchair," and I went, literally, it absolutely shocked me what he said. And he said, if you're not in a wheelchair by the time you're 65, it will be a miracle. Now, I know that I am a miracle, and I am not going to be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 65. Just like for you, it's exactly the same, isn't it? I remember when I first met you, and it's like, whoa, that something's got to change. You can't live your life, the rest of your life, with a walking stick and a funny arm. If you see what I'm saying, and everything else that goes. I mean, we laugh about it now, but at the time it was really, I thought this has got to change. And I have the insight to see that could change. But I think when somebody, you're not strong, if you don't feel very strong, it's very hard to get yourself out of bed in the morning, do your exercises, do this, do that, feed yourself, don't eat crap, exercise as often as you can, when you can, and when you can't, accept that you've just got to go and sit on the sofa and relax and look after yourself that way. It's really hard to be able to, and I think you've got to be quite strong to be able to do that. I mean, there's days when I just think, why did I get out of bed today? So I completely empathise with where you come from. Do you want to let people know what actually happened? Because you don't have to. If you want to say no, that's fine too.
No, I can talk about it, which I can today. I mean, that wasn't always the case.
No, I remember.
So I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease back in 2000, 2011, I think it was. And then within that 12 months, it was out of control. So then my bowel was ready to be perforated, explode. So they had to do emergency surgery, and that went wrong. And then so I spent 8 months in hospital the first time in intensive care, and then that impacted on loads of other things in my health that affected it. So then I had to deal with all that and the mental health. And then so for the next 10 years after that, up and to come somewhere else, I was bouncing in and out of hospital because I was, I think my family was I don't remember a lot about what happened, and I talk as if like I don't know if I'm talking in the third person of what I've been told, or whether it's some of the stuff I might remember or not.
Yeah.
But I was fed through my stomach. So yeah, so I've had to learn to manage my condition because it's never gone away. So I've got half my insides missing, and that's where a lot of my anxieties come from, and going out and eating out and projecting what might happen.
Which does happen sometimes.
Yeah, it does. I have to So I've got lots of things wrong with me, but I have to manage them on a daily basis. And the thing is, when I lost my job and what happened to me and everything, I lost everything. I lost my identity. I lost my structure. I lost my purpose. I lost my routine. And I've got that back today. I've got all that back, but I get scared that I might lose it again. But I can lose it if I let it happen.
Yeah. But we don't know that at the time, though, do we?
No.
You don't know that until you've learnt that. You've got to learn that, don't you?
Sure.
That actually things are going to change. They only change things are out of your hands, but what you do on your daily routine and stuff like that is down to you as an individual.
And the thing is, for me, because I'm always in pain, but I think I've got used. That has become my normal. Being in pain, and I only realise that I'm in pain all the time when I get more pain. When I'm in more pain.
Yeah.
Right. So it's worse for me, and it's hardest for me when I'm sat down. So you won't see me sat down very often. I'm always moving about because I have to keep moving, because as soon as I sit down, things start to happen, and I feel it. So yeah.
But that thing about having half your insides pulled out and then making appropriate actions so that your body can function still, because if you think about it, many years ago that didn't exist. You would have died. And they've done life-saving kind of operations to keep you going, but that alone in its own right creates a dynamic that's quite tough to live with, isn't it?
Yeah. But it is when you don't know anything about it, and all of a sudden then you wake up with a new body. I've not looked at this is something I haven't got I've not worked, well I have, but I haven't got acceptance over it yet, is my body. I've not looked at my body for over 10 years, well, since I've had the surgery, because I've not just had one surgery, I've had half a dozen surgeries of open surgery. So I haven't even got a belly button, and it's just like my stomach is like a mat, and it goes in like this, and it's just not very nice to look at.
Yeah.
So
why does it go in? Because of the way they've operated it?
Yeah.
And it's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
because do you have a bag?
Yeah.
And where does your bag sit? On the right or the left?
So there's different kinds.
Right. Okay.
Colostomy and ileostomy.
Right.
So a colostomy is when you've still got some of your large colon, your bowel.
Right. Do you have that?
No.
Right.
So then you have bags that are closed, and you just take them off and throw them away, because you'd have some kind of form bowel movement.
Right. Okay.
So you'd have more control over that, more manageable over that. You might be able to do irrigation or not wear a bag. You can kind of like learn to manage it.
Yeah.
Some people. I've got an ileostomy where all my bowel's been taken away. So your colon like sucks all the water out and makes your bowel movements. So I haven't got that. So everything that goes in me just goes straight through. So I have drainable bags where I have to go to the toilet and empty it. So there's foods that I can't eat because they'll just cause me too many problems, and that's why I have difficulties like anxiety's going out to eat. I've got better at it. I'll eat more during the day and go out rather than the evening. So I try to see it as rather than, I'm trying to kind of like flip it and see it as like it's a social event. It's not about the food.
Yeah.
So when people come here and they come out for a social evening, I see it as coming out to be part of the thing rather than coming out to eat, because otherwise, if I think like that, then I'll talk myself out of it.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But there's lots and lots of people in your situation, isn't there? And I can only imagine how traumatic it is. I want to identify with you to a certain degree, but I don't want to identify because don't think I've kind of come to terms with my own issues around that. I am going to, because I think it's appropriate. But as you know, I've had bowel problems, quite severe bowel problems as well. And it's like to the degree where I'm so uncomfortable about it that I don't talk about it, if you see what I'm saying. So therefore, because I feel really ashamed about it. And I know a lot of women struggle with their bowels because of childbirth and having had hysterectomies and various other things, which means that their bowels don't necessarily work as well as they could do. And like you talked about irrigation, and that's something that I've had to do for many, many years. But it's like to the degree that I actually built a toilet at work just purely for me so that I had complete privacy if I was in the situation where I needed to go to the loo. But it is quite shaming, isn't it? I think because it's not.
We don't talk about bowels and poos and.
But they do in our house, thank God. I think Dave and Will have been my salvation to a certain degree, because even though I still struggle, Mike probably knows just as much about William's bowel movements and Dave's bowel movements as I do, because they eat, they go to the toilet, and we just have a laugh about it. But it's made it a little bit more normal for me, if you see what I'm saying. It's made it a bit easier.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people struggle with it.
Yeah. And I think I've just realised now, sharing that now, I've just realised where I am and what I'm doing, that a lot of people are probably going to watch this and find something out about me that they didn't know.
But also it might help an awful lot of people. Yeah. And I think that's the thing.
Yeah. And I think I've been I have had an hard time about it as well in the past, where people have judged you and gossiped about you and saying that you smell and Mand, can I mention names? Yeah, so Mandy's been really supportive with me over the years with it, and she's come to hospital appointments and held my hand and everything. And I've gone to Mandy and went, Mandy, do I smell? She went, no, you don't. And that's hurtful, because I struggle with it anyway.
Yeah.
To deal with, and without other people like adding to it.
But is that people's ignorance, do you think, or people just not being very kind? Because it's like we all fart, don't we? And we all smell, but we almost shame each other for doing it in public.
Yeah, exactly, because it's a taboo subject.
Yeah. Yeah, people, when you're little, kids laugh about it. They call me Granny Farty Pants, because you fart once in front of the kids and that's it. You've got the name, haven't you? But that's my nickname. That's exactly what they call me. And it's like, who wants to admit that you fart and you smell? Because you don't. There's a shame factor to that, isn't there? And I probably have done it myself, where I've shamed like somebody about stinking the room out or whatever. But it is true. It's not because we don't openly talk about it.
And I think it's took me a few years just to even get to this.
Yeah.
To even in the office environment at work, not everybody even knows there, but they do now, right? So.
Well, those that listen.
Yeah, well, they do now. So, but I even have this cold now, because things don't always go to plan and I have to get away. I have to go home. And I just say, I've got to go. And they know when that happens, I've just got to leave and go, because I've got to go and sort myself out. And that's something they have to deal with as well. And because I have anal abscesses, so I have to manage them. It's not just like Crohn's on it, it's what Crohn's represents and what it does to your body. It just kind of like destroys your body. But and on the other side of that, this is the healthiest I've been in 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This is the longest I've not been in hospital, and that I think as well. Why do you want to go back to Manchester as well? I'm aware that I'm going to be 60 this year, and my health isn't going to get any better. And as Angie's pointed out, you probably end up back in hospital at some point in your life, which you probably will, and that's the reality of it. And I just feel like I want to be back where I want to be with the surgeons that know me, the team that know, even though they probably all changed and moved on because they probably are retired. And I just think about my consultant and how proud he would be of me today. And because I remember him saying to me, "You go to rehab and get well." Do you know what I mean? And I knew them all on first name basis, and I knew everyone in the hospital, from the cleaners to the porters.
Really? Am I surprised by that? Not at all. Has he seen you since you got well?
No. Since I've been like this, no, because I'm under Taunton now here,
moment, yeah.
not Manchester. So,
have you ever thought of just making contact and letting him know?
Well, when I go to Manchester or register, I'll be back under that hospital. So, he was getting on a bit though, so he might have retired.
Well, he might like a letter.
Yeah,
because I always think it's quite nice to do that, is to let people know how well you've done, and because people forget, don't they? And I know for me, I get letters, I get cards, I get messages. People send me messages on Instagram and stuff like that, and I think, wow. You're still well, you're still doing well, and I think that recognition that you had a part to play in that and helping somebody get well is so lovely. It's a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, I'll think about that one. Probably will. I could even go down to the department at the MRI, and he might even see this podcast.
Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. We could send it to him.
I'll have to see if he's still working there. I'll have to do my research.
Oh, yeah, look online and see where he is. We could track him and hound him out.
I think my mum was saying a few weeks ago when she went to the hospital, someone was asking about me in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
They said they stopped her and they went, "Our daughter called you, and was she in that ward?" And they're like, "Yeah," and they was asking about you.
Oh, wow.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So you remembered?
Well, how can you once seen, never forgotten?
So moving back to Manchester is quite a revelation, isn't it? So that's it. You've got Julie's got. Can I talk about your therapy dog or not? Yeah. He's the most the untherapist therapy dog I've ever met in my life. He won't sit on anybody's lap but Julie's.
He doesn't even sit on my lap.
Is he not?
No, he don't even sit on my lap. But the therapy dog was a therapy dog, and I couldn't go anywhere without him. So my son, when I got medically retired and I had all this surgery, I was trapped in my house and I couldn't get out. Well, I could, but couldn't. My anxiety wouldn't allow me. And he said, "I think we should get you a dog, so it give you some purpose, give you something to focus on, get you out the house." I said, "I don't want a dog. I can't look after myself. Never mind an animal." Anyway, he kept on sending me these pictures through. He says, "What about this one?" And then Cujo came through. He said, "What about this little chap? I think we should go and see him." So I said, "Well, I'm not coming home with a dog. I'll go and have a look, but I'm not coming home with a dog." Anyway, off we went. I fell in love with him straight away. So anyway, he wasn't registered, obviously, at that time. So I wanted to bring him home, but I couldn't because he wasn't ready to come home. And then when I finally did, I just used to rock up hospital with him. He used to have a big bag then, that's that long, and I used to just turn up at hospital with him and just plonk him down and then the mental health team seen that got me out because it took the focus off me, and the focus was on him.
Yeah.
So it enabled me to kind of like get to me appointments where I needed to go, speak to people, and it worked. And he's been my little lifesaver, Cujo. He's my little soulmate. I'm not dependent on him like I used to be. But no,
because you leave him behind now, don't you?
I do.
Whereas you never used to leave him. He wouldn't leave your side at all, and now you can leave him behind, which I think is such a big step, isn't it?
Yeah. So when we go back to Manchester, he'll be coming with me everywhere again. So
we need to get another therapy dog for work.
I think Mandy wants a dog. Oh, sorry, Manda.
She's got two out there that she never bothers with. You're all right. So sorry, Mandy. We got a lovely little puppy that I'm sure she would be a brilliant therapy dog.
I know. I think Mandy said about that.
Yeah, got him.
I've not seen the new dog yet.
Go and have a look at him. He's so cute.
Oh.
I swore then. I'm not allowed to.
That's right. You swore times already.
Have I?
You have, yeah.
Oh, he always tells me I swear and I don't remember doing it. I'm just aware of time, and you've been at it for 3/4 of an hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
time flies when you're having fun.
It does. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what you've talked about? There's lots of things I would like to talk about, but you don't have to, by the way. You can always come back.
I'm just because what. No, I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll save it for another time.
Brilliant.
That's
great.
Thank you.
We would.
It's been great.
Thanks for having me.
No, that's great. And if you reflected and you thought, I know we don't do projection in recovery, and it's something that we try and keep in the day, but if you thought about where you would like to be in a year's time, where would that be? And what would you be doing, etc.?
I'd like to think in a year's time I'll still be part of some warehouse in some capacity. I'm hoping that the move to Manchester is the right decision and I make a life there moving forward, but not forgetting my roots in Somerset. What's where I came to get well and to come back and give back. That's what I would like to happen. Thank you.
And you do give a lot back and you're very generous. So thank you.
But I also get a lot back.
I know.
It helps me.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. It has been really good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
brilliant. Thanks.